Olivia school fees kwapheka to.
Hello and thank you for joining us for our 7:30 news bulletin. My name is Tandi Wemzumara. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV joins Cuban bishops in calling for dialogue with United States. Gwengwe and Kawale arrested as Malawi Congress Party alleges political intimidation. National Advocacy Platform warns of forest crisis and exposing policy reality gap. And in other news, United States and Kenya deepen military ties with $71 million running a project. We do have the details to these stories and more, to stay with us. Pope Leo XIV on Sunday voiced great concern over news of rising tensions between Cuba and the United States of America, urging leaders to pursue sincere and effective dialogue to avoid violence and further suffering for the Cuban people. His appeal, delivered after he recited the Angelus from the Apostolic Palace, came after Donald Trump's administration issued an executive order late Thursday intensifying economic pressure on the island, including the possibility of imposing tariffs on countries that supply crude oil to Cuba. The order describes Cuba's posture towards the U.S. as hostile and calls it a national threat. We have more details in this Catholic News Agency report read by Phyllis Chizombe.
The Pope explicitly aligned himself with an appeal from the Cuba's bishops and called on those responsible to choose dialogue over escalation. He then entrusted the Cuban people to the patroness of the island. Earlier in his Angelus reflection, the Pope focused on the Gospel Beatitudes, calling them lights that the Lord kindles in the half-light of history, revealing God's saving plan carried out through Christ by the power of the Holy Spirit. He said Christ gives the disciples a new law, written in hearts rather than on stone, one that renews our life and makes it good, even when to the world it seems failed and wretched. He said only God can truly call the poor and afflicted blessed, satisfy those who seek peace and justice, and give joy to the meek, merciful, and pure of heart. After the Angelus, the Pope said he was praying for the victims of landslide at a mine in North Kivu, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He asked prayers as well for the dead and those suffering due to storms that recently struck Portugal and southern Italy, and he noted the severe flooding affecting Mozambique. Marking Italy's National Day of Civilian Victims of Wars and Conflicts in the world, the Pope lamented the ongoing toll of armed actions that violate morality and law, and said victims will be truly honored when this intolerable injustice ends. Looking ahead to the Winter Olympics in 2026, Winter Olympics, Leo offered good wishes to organizers and athletes and expressed hope that the ancient Olympic truce tradition might prompt concrete gestures of detente and dialogue by those in authority.
Archbishop George Desmond Dambala of the Diocese of Lilongwe has called on employees of the Centenary Bank to exercise the authority entrusted to them responsibly as they carry out their duties. The Archbishop made these remarks during the 2026 chaplaincy opening mass held to seek God's blessings for the bank and its chaplaincy activities. He reminded the staff that Centenary Bank was established to serve people and contribute to the transformation of lives and communities over time. Emmanuel Shiwocha has filed this report.
Archbishop Dambala emphasized the need for professionalism and integrity in the banking operation, stressing that service delivery must be guided by strong ethical values. In his homily, Archbishop urged employees to serve with honesty and dedication, cautioning against prioritizing personal gains or working solely to enhance the banking image. He further encouraged staff to emulate the master seed, which grows gradually, expressing confidence that despite operating in a challenging environment, Centenary Bank will continue to grow and position itself among the country's leading financial institutions.
Also, to care for themselves, because in the case of David, I said he was a great man, but he had his own failings. So I think in every workplace, just like here, I'm encouraging them to focus on their strengths, improve that and their gifts, and avoid things that can easily come in the way of their work.
Centenary Bank Limited is 51% owned by the Centenary Group of Uganda, while the remaining 49% is owned by the Archdiocese of Lilongwe. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
The Malawi Congress Party (MCP) has described the recent arrest of some of its senior members as a sign of fear and failure by the ruling Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) government. MCP spokesperson Jessie Kabira made the remarks in an interview with Luntha television as she confirmed the arrest of its party members, including former Minister of Finance Sostin Gwengwe and former Minister of Agriculture Sam Kawali, as well as former Secretary to the President and Cabinet Colleen Samba. We have more details in this report filed by Charity Shilanga.
Kabira accused the DPP government of suffering from what she termed an inferiority complex, arguing that the arrests are a response to growing public dissatisfaction over rising prices of basic goods, fuel hikes, and unfulfilled campaign promises such as free education. She said Malawians are aware of who is responsible for the economic hardships they are facing, adding that arrest will not change public opinion ahead of possible by-elections. Kabila maintained that the party is not intimidated by the arrest and warned that such actions are an indication of a failed administration.
Interpret this is that the DPP government is suffering from an inferiority complex. And I think this is a sheer display of how afraid they are of us. You must remember that a by-election is coming. We have a series of by-elections. And what they are showing is they know fully well that the people who are going to vote are well aware of who has increased prices and who is responsible for unkept promises. They were promised free food in universities. They failed to do that. They talked of free education, and all they've done is remove the 10,000 quarters, which they're even failing to sustain. They know who is it that has increased fuel and made a choice, the price of fuel, and made a choice to make sure that they are taxed, even for breathing, even for existing. They know who has chosen to remove them from jobs.
Meanwhile, police say they are yet to disclose the charges facing the two former cabinet ministers. National Police spokesperson Raiwo Chimtambo said they are still operating within the 48-hour period allowed by law before taking the suspects to court to face formal charges.
Yes, I can confirm that former Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Sam Kawali, is in police custody.
Kawale handed himself over to police before his arrest on Monday, while Gwengwe was arrested on Sunday and is currently being held at Lumbadzi police station. Recently, police also arrested other MCP figures, including party spokesperson Jessie Kabila, 2005 general elections running mate Virumbiko Mumba, former Minister of Homeland Security Ezekiel Ngoma, former Minister of Information and Digitalization Moses Kunkuyo, among others.
Citizens for Equity and Justice, CEJ, has strongly condemned government over what it describes as executive arrogance, politically motivated arrests, and arbitrary hiring and dismissal of individuals in public offices. Briefing journalists in Nyunga on Monday, CEJ chairperson Agabe Kombe accused the government of abusing executive power to intimidate critics and suppress dissenting views. We have more details in this report filed by Alison Banda.
In his remarks, Kombe said the recent arrest of opposition politicians appear to be driven by political considerations rather than a respect for the rule of law. Kombe also raised concerns over what he described as unfair dismissals and questionable appointments within the public institutions, warning that such practices undermine professionalism, accountability, and good governance in the civil service. He cautioned that the continued misuse of executive authority poses a serious threat to democracy, constitutionalism, and public trust in the institutions.
There is trust issues that we should do away with. In the next chapter of our society, these people who are arresting their friends today, they also be arrested. If they are not the ones, their brothers and daughters, they will get arrested. We can set the future today if we migrate from unnecessary arrest to another. This is not to say there should not be people answerable to the wrongdoing. No. Our main issue is, if that is to be done, it should be done professionally, lawfully, and within the jurisdiction of the Constitution.
ECJ has since called on government to respect the rule of law, uphold democratic principles, and ensure that public officers operate free from political interference. For Luntha Television, this is Alison Banda.
National Advocacy Platform NAP chairperson Benedicto Gondowe has warned of a growing disconnect between government assurances on foreign exchange stability and the harsh realities facing businesses and ordinary Malawians who continue to struggle to access United States dollars. The concerns come amid persistent forex shortages, rising parallel market rates, and mounting pressure on imports. Gondowe has cautioned that the widening gap between policy pronouncements and on-the-ground practice risks fueling inflation and deepening economic hardships. We have more details on this report filed by Judith Ogan.
Speaking to Luntha Television, NAP chairperson Benedicto Gondowe said that while authorities project an image of stabilizing foreign exchange reserves, access to forex through formal banking channels remains severely constrained. Gondowe explained that applicants are often forced to wait for long periods, receive only a fraction of their requested amounts, or are left with no option but to turn to the parallel markets where exchange rates continue to climb.
When it comes to the black market, it is an area that the Reserve Bank does not regulate because it is not recognized by law. Although we know that black markets still operate. Where the black markets get forex, no one knows. So there are so many speculations which are being made. Some claiming that they get the money from the same banks. So some sort of conniving. But these are allegations. Some indeed claim that the forex that is available in the black market belong to politicians.
Gondowe further noted that the prioritization of government foreign obligations and procurement has long disadvantaged the private sector and ordinary citizens. He said this continues to slow imports, weaken production, and limits export growth. Gondowe has also expressed concern over the thriving parallel markets, questioning how forex remains readily available outside the formal banking system despite reported shortages within it. He has called on authorities to investigate possible leakages and irregularities in order to restore confidence in Malawi's forex management framework. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Judith Ogan.
Remember that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center, and today with me, Tandi Wemzamara. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV joins Cuban bishops in calling for dialogue with United States. Gwengwe and Kawale arrested as Malawi Congress Party alleges political intimidation. National Advocacy Platform warns of forest crisis and exposing policy reality gap. And in other news, United States and Kenya deepen military ties with $71 million runway project. Proceeding with the news, the Malawi Electoral Commission (MEC) has urged eligible voters to turn out in large numbers to register for the upcoming by-elections following low turnout recorded at several voter registration centers in the first days of the exercise. MEC Commissioner Emmanuel Fabiano made these remarks on Monday after inspecting 4 voter registration centers in Msitu Ward, Mchinji South constituency, one of the areas scheduled to hold by-elections. Fabiano said the low numbers are not yet a major concern, explaining that the ongoing exercise is specifically targeting additional voters who did not register during the 2025 general elections but wish to participate in the March by-elections. We have more details on this report, followed by Gift Karunga.
In an interview, Commissioner Fabiano expressed optimism that the turnout will improve in the remaining days as mobilization efforts intensify. He said voter registration for the by-election has been slow in the first 3 days, with none of the 4 centers he visited registering more than 10 people by midday. Fabiano, however, reiterated that situation is not yet worrying, noting that voters who registered during the 2025 general elections remain eligible to vote in the March 17 by-election and do not need to re-register.
And the messages have gone out on the radio. We had a number of meetings with the religious and the traditional leaders, plus many other people. So it's a process that is going on. We will continue encouraging people. But the most important thing to know is that we are trying to give an opportunity to those that have not yet registered, those that did not register for the general election, to come and register so that they can vote in the
Mchinji District Elections Officer Sami Nganjo said voter registration for the by-election is progressing smoothly with all 11 centers operational since the exercise began on 21st January. However, he noted that turnout remains very low, with only 29 people registered across all centers as of Sunday.
And then we gave them the information so that they should spread it to the villagers all around the area. That's one thing we did. And then as well as I'm talking now, we have a loud hailer vehicle which is going in all the centers, and it will be doing that. We will be doing that for the entire 7 days in order to mobilize people to register.
Msitu Ward is among the areas scheduled to hold by-elections on March 17, following the death of Malawi Congress Party MCP candidate Edson Josiah before the September 16th general elections. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
Minister of Defense Feston Gauba has encouraged entrepreneurs to broaden their investments beyond their usual areas of operation, noting that government is putting in place a conducive environment for businesses to flourish nationwide. He made these remarks over the weekend during the official launch of the CTS Funeral Services, a company committed to setting new standards of dignity, affordability, and inclusivity in Malawi. Bridget Manoka has filed this report.
Kauba commended CTS Funeral Services for offering inclusive and affordable packages, emphasizing that funeral services should not be reserved for elites or politicians only. He noted that even ordinary citizens, using the little resources available to them, deserve to accord their loved ones a dignified send-off. The minister further applauded CTS Funeral Services for creating employment and contributing to Malawi's economic development, adding that the company's clientele also includes personnel from the Malawi Defense Force.
So as government, it is our intention and within our mandate that we should promote particularly homegrown businesses, Malawian-owned businesses, and more importantly, women-owned businesses. I would have even loved if we saw some youth starting up businesses like these ones. So as government, we are very excited that I was here representing the government of Malawi, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika as the president, to launch this business, a family or female-owned business, a woman-owned business, which is very exciting, and I hope that other women will take a leaf from this business and they also be able to start their own.
Meanwhile, CTS Funeral Services General Manager Joseph Manda reaffirmed the company's dedication to delivering professional, affordable, and accessible funeral services to all Malawians.
Here in Malawi, we have partnered with a number of insurance companies that we are working with. And if you have any issues to do with funeral services or funerals, you need to contact us and you are going to be to lend a hand in terms of services. We are talking about the tents, we are talking about chairs, we are talking about the whole program. So CTS is geared towards managing and helping you in these hard times.
CTS Funeral Services is positioning itself as your trusted partner in bidding farewell, with a mission to set new benchmarks in dignity, affordability, and inclusivity across Malawi. Bridget Manoka, Luntha News.
Now, in news from across the border, the United States and Kenya have deepened their military cooperation with the launch of a major runway infrastructure project at the Manda Bay Naval Base in Lamu County. The $71 million project is expected to significantly enhance regional security operations while also signaling a strategic shift in Washington's engagement with East Africa. We have more details in a report found by Cliff Omondi.
The United States and the Kenyan government have officially launched a $71 million equivalent to 9.1 billion shillings military airport runway infrastructure project at Kenya's Manda Bay Naval Base. The project is designed to boost regional security operations while reinforcing Kenya's growing strategic partnership with Washington, particularly in counter-terrorism efforts across the Horn of Africa. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau arrived at the base aboard a U.S. Air Force C-130 aircraft to inaugurate construction works on the new runway.
Using this runway which starts here and ends here, which is right behind us. Our current position. To our extreme front is where we have the Indian Ocean, which is right behind us. Behind you, sir.
Once completed, the 3-kilometer runway will be capable of handling heavy military and cargo aircraft, significantly expanding operational capacity at the base. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony, Deputy Secretary Landau described the initiative as a historic milestone in U.S.-Kenya relations.
We in the United States are very grateful to Kenya for allowing us to be here alongside you and participate in this project. As the General just noted, these security challenges are ones that we share. We're on the same side. This is really an attack on our civilization. And we have to show those who would attack us that we are resolved to defend ourselves. And so that is what this outpost really represents. It is a very tangible commitment to the common defense between the United States and Kenya. I think that sends a very strong signal to those who would be our adversaries.
On the Kenyan side, Prime Cabinet Secretary and CS for Foreign Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi said the project goes beyond
the economic situation for Kenya, for South Sudan, for Ethiopia, and going into other areas including Somalia. So with this facility here, then we are getting closer to a more robust LAPSAT corridor because of the security.
And Defense Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya underscored the runway's strategic importance, noting that Kenya's coastal and regional security environment remains complex.
The expansion of the Kenya Navy Base Manda runway is a deliberate and forward-looking strategic investment. It will significantly enhance operational reach, airlift capacity, and logistical sustainment for joint and partner military operations. In a security environment characterized by asymmetric threats, rapid response requirements, and transnational challenges, this infrastructure is a
bay into a key American operational hub in the region, strategically located near Somalia. The upgraded facility will feature a 3.5-kilometer runway, modern airfield systems, and enhanced security infrastructure. Construction is expected to be completed by mid-next year, with the project jointly funded by the governments of Kenya and the United States. It's supporting designated sections of the development. Cliff Omondi, Luntha TV, Nairobi.
And that also brings us to the end of what we had for you in this edition of our news bulletin. But before we go, here's a reminder of the headlines. Pope Leo XIV joins Cuban bishops in calling for dialogue with United States. Gwengwe and Kawale arrested as Malawi Congress Party alleges political intimidation. National Advocacy Platform warns of forest crisis and exposing policy reality gap. And in other news, United States and Kenya deepen military ties with $71 million running the project. My name is Tandy Wimzumara. Thank you for keeping me company and to continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Goodbye for now and just stay safe.